SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. Negativity is contagious, and the larger an organisation, the more rules and regulations there are to restrict or control staff and customers. That observation is from Roy Osing, who says swapping no for yes is a great business strategy. He explains why shortly. First, Chris Ashmore asks Roy whether we're simply hardwired to say no.
Just think back to when you were in school and think back about what the teacher said to you. Okay, they taught you to comply. Teachers teach you to conform. They conform to different kinds of rules, knowledge rules, procedural rules, etc. And we come through the education system, quite frankly, hardwired to actually follow rules. Okay, so that's a natural thing that when you're in a business world or career world, it's a natural inclination to say, well, okay, those are the rules. We need to follow them. Moreover, right, you're rewarded if you follow them and you're punished if you don't. Forget about school. Now you're in business and you're still practicing that behavior, and it's being reinforced by the notion that says, okay, hey, Roy's a good rule follower. I think we're going to give him an extra kind of like tick on his report card. But oh no, he's not. So he's going to be punished. And so it's a hard habit to break. It's a habit. We are addicted to following rules.
But rules are there, aren't they, to ensure that we do stay on track so that people know what they're doing and we get towards those goals?
I think the intent of rules is quite altruistic, and the intent, I believe, is right. The problem is they're out of step. Now they're out of fashion, and I'll tell you why, okay? Rules basically force you to exercise control in a world, okay, where sometimes it's important to give control up. And I think particularly around customers, okay, when you have a customer, you're enforcing a rule, right, that subjugates them to something they don't want, they will react against it. They go tell their friends and colleagues how crummy you are, how unfriendly you are, how uncaring you are, and that generally, a lot of times, they decide to leave you if they have a choice. And so the difference is, whereas the rule system starts out with the objective of creating harmony and goodness, okay, it gets eroded because the world and the power of customers and the power of competition is kind of eating away at that. And if a business stays with that, then they're going to be suffering. They're going to be suffering a lot in the marketplace. Look you can have 100 people that you're trying to, and generally rules are made for the masses, not for individuals. So the individual ends up getting punished by a rule intended for 1 million people. Well, the fact is that if you have 1 million people, you got 100 market segments of one, and they're all different. And so it's not surprising that somebody's going to come head on into a rule that they hate. Okay, they absolutely hate. And now the company is in a position of trying to enforce a rule to control customer engagement, knowing full well that the outcome is going to be negative. How consistent is that with building customer loyalty? It just isn't. What organizations fail to realize these days is one of the basic objectives. You need to make it easy for people to do business with you. And one of the biggest factors in the make it easy equation is your set of rules and procedures, right? And policies. That internal set of control mechanisms determines more about product, more about loyalty than a lot of products and services do. And the reason for that is the product is what people get. The rule causes them to feel a certain way, right? So the emotional element of the application of what I call a dumb rule, a rule doesn't make any sense to a customer, the application of that is absolutely destructive to an organization.
The answer then, you believe, is saying yes as a growth strategy. Is that right?
Yeah. You need to have a culture that's leaning into saying yes, okay? And I chose those words specifically, leaning in to say yes, okay? And that says we need a rule system and a policy system in our organizations that allows people to say yes more often than not. I recognize there's some legal requirements and regulatory requirements, et cetera, that require certain rules that can't be changed. But there are ways to manage that. Okay, there are ways to make rules appear friendly in the way that the conversation goes with the customer. Or there's a ways of managing that. And I find that too many people say, well, we got too many regulations, we can't do it. And I keep saying to them, well, what if you got rid of 10% of the stupid things that you do? Would you not believe that that would be transformational to your organization? Come on. Don't condemn the objective because there are some rules out there that can't be changed. The reality is, say yes organizations, they flourish. And do they give away the farm? Hell no. You give a frontliner the empowerment to say yes, and they will religiously protect the company. The other thing I would say here is that people don't realize the power of the rule system in terms of creating memorable experiences. Done the right way, your enablement rule could make a customer go, wow, I can't believe how I was treated when I pushed back. I can't believe this. That's the story they tell. Can you think of a better referral to have somebody respond to a rule breaking process in a way that allows them to say, wow, brilliant. I can't believe I just feel so good over this. That's where we need to get to. Employees love to engage in a culture where they can say yes more often than they say no, right? It gives them degrees of freedom that make them love the company, love the trust.
So how do you implement a strategy of yes? What does it look like in a practical sense?
So the kind of thing that I would do is, first of all, I would want to identify what the major pinch points are. Okay, identify 5, not 3 plus 2 of the most significant pinch points in the organization that make customers go postal, that make them go crazy. And how do you do that? You talk to them. Come on, this is not rocket science. What kind of rules and policies do we have that really annoy you, Mr. and Ms. or Ms. customer? What is it? So spend some time on that and sort of cull that down to, a manageable. What are the top 10 pinch points? By the way, they love to get engaged. If they know that you're looking at your rule systems and policies, they will love you to death for simply asking them to be part of the solution. That act in and of itself, Chris, is a loyalty building event, right? The other thing, as a leader, you want to challenge every rule that somebody says has to stay. Okay, so you can imagine you're going to have 2 lists, right? One is going to be the keep list. The other is going to be the kill list. You want the kill list to be way longer than the keep list. And typically it doesn't start out that way because people are protecting what they do, right? I mean, there's nothing so ferocious as a person in an organization who created a rule 10 years ago that you're going to kill. The last piece is hold managers accountable. Make it matter to their performance plan. All right. So my management team had killing dumb rules on their performance plan. And I would say, okay, what rules are you eradicating at the moment? And if they said nothing, then that was a problem. Okay. So it's got to be part of their performance and bonus plan.
How do you deal with, those bureaucrats? We've all got them. Every organisation has them, who they just dig in their heels and love saying no.
Yeah, so this is really important as a leadership issue, Chris. You really have to make it part of the strategic plan of your organization, okay? It has to be part of your value system. The value system needs to say something like, we will say yes. We will lean into yes. Some sort of articulation that carries the message that we're going to try our best to say yes every time. If it's accepted and agreed to by the executive leadership team as part of the strategy, that gives you the ability to hold everybody accountable for seeing that it happens. That will, by definition, weed out the bureaucrats because they will no longer be on target in terms of their performance. They will be doing things that are outside of the strategic plan, giving their boss the ability to call them on it. That's the only thing you can do. And sometimes what I discovered is some people don't like that environment and they self-select themselves out. They don't want to be part of that environment, which is okay too. But at the end of the day, and this is interesting because very few organizations treat the rule system as a strategic asset. And yet it is. Go get rid of a dumb rule. Enjoy. right? The euphoria in your organization when people see you do something like this because they've been telling you for a long time and they've wanted to see the stupidity erased. And use that language. Admit that we do stupid things. How can you expect yourself to be perfect in a world that's changing so fast? So give yourself permission to be an idiot on some things, because the beneficiaries of you being an idiot in this area is your business and your employees. That's worth it.
That was entrepreneur Roy Osing. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow at BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel.